Okay, in this tutorial we're going to create a simple cushion using the cloth modifier again. So first of all, let's start with something here. So we're going to start with a box like so, and this will be the our start shape here. Now currently dimensions aren't right, it's a little bit too small. We want this thing to be about 1 foot by foot, so change that to 300 and the height also to 300, and let's change the width to 30. And while we're at it, let's put some detail on this as well. So we're going to want vertices and all the rest, so let's change the segments there to 10 and 10 and 4 for the width, and let's see what that looks like. Alright, hopefully that's done. Now we can't see it because I've left this to shaded, so if I turn on edged faces, there we go, we can see what's happening here. So let's get a quick look in here, and that looks fine. Yep, all good. Now, this is a fairly interesting one. So in order to turn this into a cushion, what we actually do is we inflate it. So I'm going to convert this to an editable poly, like so, and then I'm going to apply the cloth modifier as before. Okay, and where's it gone? It's up the top there, C being up here. So a cloth modifier, and again let's go into the object properties, and okay, this is our box here, it's the only thing in the scene. Set it to cloth, set the preset to something, so let's use silk this time, and down here you see pressure, so inside enclosed cloth volume. So what we could do is set this to something. So we'll try 20, error there, and click OK. Alright, that's done. It hasn't done anything yet. And then we hit the simulate button, and woof, it's gone. Okay, so let's just stop that. Now, what happened there was something I forgot to do, so I'm just going to erase that simulation and get my cushion back. What actually happened is it fell out of the scene because gravity was turned on. So if you see that happening, this is the reason. And if you go down right over here, you will see Earth and gravity, and currently gravity is set at minus 980. So if we just set that to 0 and have a look at the object properties again, box 01, set it to silk, and put the pressure back up to 20, I think that's what I had. Click OK, and this time it'll hold itself and won't fall off the bottom of the world. So hit simulate, and woof, there it goes. And we can stop this at any point, so you don't need to keep going with that. Alright, so there's our cushion, just filled out and ballooned out and all the rest. That's not bad, it's quite good. So the next thing we need to do, well, we can do with it, is change its shape slightly. Because this has been inflated from the inside, it's well, it's pretty uniform. So what we can do is have another little bit of fun with it and take advantage of the fact that this thing will drop given gravity. So what I'm going to do is just take a top view here, draw another box underneath it. It doesn't need to be this big, but I'm just going to put it in here. And there. Let's go look at the side of this. Doesn't need to be that high. What I'm going to do now is just move this down, create a bit of space, and we're going to use the cloth modifier again. And this time what we're going to do is take the cushion and drop it into this solid object here, and hopefully with a bit of luck it'll deform that just enough to make it look somewhat natural. If you're dropping this onto a couch or something like that, it'll help to have the couch there. Okay, so we have our object here again, and let's convert to editable poly. Good. And now let's go and apply the cloth modifier again. So there we go, cloth modifier, object properties. So this is our box here, and again we're going to set it to cloth, we'll set it to silk, pressure doesn't matter. We're going to add the object, which is our second object, the box, the lower one here, and we're going to make this one, the box 02, the collision object. Okay, so just checking that again, 01 is a cloth object and it's silk. Okay, box 02 is our collision object. Just double check these settings because they don't seem to be holding. Okay, 0, 1, makes sense to separate and name these things correctly. Cloth, and fine. Box 2, collision object, click OK. So let's simulate this and see what happens. So click on simulate and zip. And the reason for that is I forgot to turn gravity back on. So let me just go back over here, set gravity back to Earth, go back into our object properties again, cloth, silk, nothing else there. Box 02 is a collision object, click OK, and let's see what happens this time. So simulate, bang. Now, you can see what happened there. It's deformed way too much. So there's a couple of options here. We can change some of the characteristics. Now, first of all, we can make this close up the distance so it doesn't gain as much speed when it's falling. We could also change gravity, so let's knock the gravity value down a bit. So maybe let's change, instead of 980, let's just change it to, I don't know, let's try 480, so roughly half. And let's see what that does, if anything. Okay, so we had a bit of a bounce on it there. So what we can do is let this run out, not too far, for obvious reasons. And then we can start pulling it back. And on this slider here, we can find a point that we're happy with. So, let's see. Let's just zoom in a bit here. Alright, so I've got my object here. So this is before it hits. So 7, it's still in the air. 8, 9. There we go. Frame 10, it seems to have embedded in the object. It's bouncing on frame 11, so I think I might just keep it at frame 10 and stop it there. So once I have this, I can then take this object, convert to editable poly, and just lock it in at that position. Alright, so I'm not really interested in box number 2 now, so I can just grab that and delete it. And I'm left with my cushion. So it's not looking too bad. We can just grab it now and maybe just bring it up here. Now, if you want, you can modify the folds here and change out a little bit more detail, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea. But at the moment, it's a decent enough starting point. Final thing we can do is add a turbo smooth to it. So again, into the modifiers, drop down, let's find turbo smooth, there it is. And that kind of smooths it out a little bit further, if that's what you want. So it would probably benefit by a bit more work, but at least you got a decent enough starting point there. Okay, so let's turn off the edged faces, and there you go. There's your cushion. Thank you.